Good evening. From its lowest cases this year, just 9 days ago, India tonight has the highest number of COVID cases in 2 months as the R factor, that is the rate of reproduction of the virus, rises above the threshold level of 1. The big concern is that the cases could well start exploding. An active number of cases has now jumped by 5,400. It's the sharpest rise in 4 months. Now, if you look at the 21st of December, there were 5,326 cases, the lowest this year, but on the 30th of December, 13,154 cases, the highest in 2 months. Flagging the sudden rise in COVID cases in 14 cities, the centre has written to states urging them to take an immediate step of measures to check the surge. Cases of the highly infectious Omicron are also increasing rapidly in and around the big cities. Take steps now to avoid increased mortality was the advice of the centre. The idea of taking Delhi's model across the country is also being considered. In Delhi, which saw its 46% jump of all cases of Omicron, the state's health minister has warned of his concern. In Gurgaon, there has been a 280% rise in weekly cases, in Mumbai 232%, in Ranchi 228%, in Mumbai suburban 221%. So all across country, a huge rise in Omicron cases.
Police removing angry protesters blocking a South Delhi road. Angry at not enough buses being deployed after seating was limited to 50% because of the surging COVID cases.
1 घंटा कभी तो 2-2 घंटे 17 बंदों से ज़्यादा ये बिठा ही नहीं रहे। देखिए कैसे भागा दौड़ी हो रही है, चोट भी लगती है और चोरी का भी डर होता है।
आज भी मैं सुबह 11 बजे ऑफिस पहुंचा हूँ, 2 घंटे वेट करने के बाद। मेरे आगे 14 बसें गई 604 की, पर किसी ने चढ़ाया नहीं। वो भी क्या करें, ऑर्डर में। तो ये परेशानी हमारे साथ बहुत ज़्यादा हो रही है सर।
हाँ, तो भीड़ तो हो रही है, टाइम में तो भीड़ होगी ही ना। कहाँ जाएंगे, बस है और मेट्रो है, मेट्रो में इतनी लाइन होती है।
But it's not just Delhi. Across the country, positivity rates and cases have shot up this week. Kolkata's positivity rate is very high at 12.5%. All this has prompted the centre to write to states today asking to take proactive and immediate action. They have also asked the states to take steps now to avoid increased mortality. While Omicron cases have risen by 23% since yesterday, COVID cases have jumped faster by 43%.
This push is a part of the global upsurge, which is related to Omicron severity. Hopefully mild, but cannot be taken for granted. There is no need to panic because as a nation we are prepared.
कोरोना के अंदर 46 ओमिक्रॉन के 46%।
वो कम्युनिटी दिल्ली में कम से कम कम्युनिटी के अंदर है।
बिल्कुल जा रहा है, धीरे धीरे जा रहा है, कम्युनिटी के अंदर भी जा रहा है।
For now, there are no new curbs, but authorities in Delhi and other cities are tracking cases and data very closely. The common message is, don't panic, we are prepared this time. But everybody must be responsible, wear masks, be socially distanced, and those eligible must be fully vaccinated.
As the number of Omicron cases rise across the country, healthcare experts warn that any lapse in following COVID-appropriate behavior can result in another devastating wave of COVID-19. And while the central government is writing to the states advising stricter restrictions, only its implementation on the ground can yield desirable results. With camera person Pujaria, I'm Akshay Dongre for NDTV.
Mumbai has seen a massive surge in fresh coronavirus cases yet again today, with 3,671 infections, that's 46% higher compared to yesterday, amidst concerns over a third wave at Omicron. That's a new variant which has been labelled as being highly infectious by experts. In Mumbai, health workers are working around the clock in 3 shifts across 24 wards to test, trace and treat patients.
Mumbai's civic body, the BMC, has reactivated its ward-level war rooms to tackle the spike in cases. Mumbai has recorded a staggering spike in the number of cases over the last few days, and doctors say most of this, at least they say they're certain, but of course it will be confirmed only by genome sequencing results, that could be driven by the Omicron variant. But to tackle the surge, these ward-level war rooms are already functional. They've been reactivated. These war rooms played a key role during the devastating second wave. Is there anything different this time? How are you going about the war room?
Cases are increased since last 2 days. We are getting cases above 100 and today it is above 200. So the calling has been increased from war room. Every day we get a list, line list, positive line list for the citizens who stay in K East ward. We start calling them. The same list is received by the health post. We have 12 health posts in this ward. So once we start tracing the patients, we take all the details from them, we take their symptoms, travel history, and on basis of that, we do their admission.
The details of somebody who's positive is being taken down here. He said home quarantine, he said he's been vaccinated, and that data has been noted, and they will keep calling him to keep track of patients who've tested positive. If Mumbai requires, further help, further information and help with triage, then these war rooms will be functional in the days to come. In Mumbai, with camera person Praveen Ji Rohit, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
Meanwhile, in a press conference today, the government has reminded people across the country, mask up, it is the final frontier.
Mask remains the final frontier.
That our best vaccination is masking. It not only prevents the Omicron, Delta, Beta, Alpha, every form of respiratory virus. So your best bet of staying away from any form of COVID is to wear a mask and of course follow the other norms.
In India, if you look into it, 961 cases per day is happening. Cover the nose as well as the mouth and a 1 meter distance.
Please wear the mask. This pandemic we will win by wearing a mask and getting vaccinated.
So mask wearing is most important. Whether you are taking vaccination or not, the mask is must.
Please wear masks properly and the proper masks. That means surgical masks or N95 masks.
लेने के बावजूद भी हमको कोविड एप्रोप्रिएट बिहेवियर जैसे मास्क लगाना है, हाथ धोना है और सामाजिक अंतर बनाए रखना है, इसका हमको पालन करना बहुत ज़रूरी है.
देखो, मास्क ये एक ही पर्याय है. आप और कुछ भी नहीं करेंगे, सिर्फ मास्क अगर ईमानदारी से बनेंगे तो अपन इसे 99% तक रोक सकते हैं. इतना जरूरतमंद है ये.
Well, we know now what the situation as far as COVID in the country is concerned, the spike in Omicron cases, but there are still massive election rallies taking place amidst this COVID surge where crowds of tens of thousands are gathering, many without masks and with zero social distancing. Today, the centre said it was the poll panel's responsibility to ensure safety steps. The poll panel passed the buck too, saying it cannot interfere until elections are announced.
The centre and the Election Commission passing the buck over whose job it is to stop COVID safety violations at political rallies, despite the government warning of a sudden surge and a potential rise in deaths.
In regard to the specific issue of elections, as we communicated last time, this is for the Honorable Election Commission it is in the domain of the Honorable Election Commission.
देखिए, जब भी चुनाव होता है, हमारा चुनाव आयोग का जब दायित्व शुरू होता है, जब हम MCC लागू कर देते हैं, उससे पहले जो भी वर्क है वो स्टेट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का होता है और SDMA के अंतर्गत जो भी उनकी कार्यवाही होगी वो लोग करेंगे. And whenever the elections will be announced, this point will be definitely considered how the big rallies are to be managed or whether digital communication will have to be increased.
But that announcement is several days away at least. For now, rallies continue across parties. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Uttarakhand's Haldwani to lay the foundation stone for projects worth 23,000 crores. Home Minister Amit Shah was in UP, holding rallies in the western part. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal led this Aam Aadmi Party Yatra in Chandigarh, while the Bahujan Samaj Party's Satish Mishra addressed a rally in UP's Jhansi. The Congress's Priyanka Gandhi Vadra was at a rally in Firozabad on Wednesday. The question is, what happens in the next 1 or 2 weeks with these rallies and as they take place without COVID protocol? That's a question for which we do not seem to have any answers right now. At this Lucknow press conference, the Chief Election Commissioner said all Uttar Pradesh political parties have asked for polls to be held on time despite the COVID threat. but agreed that curbs were needed in poll rallies. The Election Commission will increase polling time by an hour so that social distancing norms can be followed. The Election Commission has directed officials to ensure each of UP's 15 crore plus voters are vaccinated at least with one dose, but no eligible voter will be denied the right to vote.
देखिए, चुनाव समय से होना चाहिए। जो तीसरी लहर की बात आई है, हम लोगों की पूरी तैयारी है। वैक्सीन सभी की दूसरी डोज लग चुकी है, अब कोई बात की चिंता नहीं है।
Uttar Pradesh's weekly cases are rising by over 150%, although in absolute numbers it is a little over 400. At such a rate, numbers could surge, a threat our politicians or government bodies do not seem to be taking seriously just yet. With Arshad Jamal, Akshay Dongre and Rajesh Gupta, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
Meanwhile, there's unexpected heavy rainfall which has battered Chennai. We'll bring you more details of that coming up. The government has responded to Chinese efforts at renaming some places well within Indian territory in Arunachal Pradesh, with the official spokesperson of the External Affairs Ministry saying, "We've seen such reports. It's not the first time China has attempted such a renaming of places in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. China had also sought to assign such names in April 2017. Arunachal Pradesh has always been and will always be an integral part of India. Assigning invented names to places in Arunachal Pradesh does not alter this fact." The Chhattisgarh police have arrested Kalicharan Maharaj from neighbouring Madhya Pradesh and charged him with sedition 4 days after an FIR was registered against him for allegedly abusing Mahatma Gandhi. He'd been sent to 2 days police custody by a court in Raipur.
The man who insulted and abused Mahatma Gandhi and spread hate from a religious congregation of saints in Raipur, now arrested. Kalicharan was arrested from Khajuraho in Madhya Pradesh under the following charges: Section 124A, that is sedition; Section 153A, that is promoting enmity between different groups on grounds of religion and race; Section 295A, that is malicious acts to outrage religious feelings.
देखिए, इसमें टिकरापारा थाने में कालीचरण के खिलाफ में अपराध पंजीबद्ध किया गया था। इसमें मध्य प्रदेश की टीम को इसमें सफलता मिली है।
The hate saint tried to dodge the cops by booking a guest house but staying at a rented house a few kilometers away. But his arrest led to an interstate war between Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, with the MP Home Minister unhappy with the manner of the arrest.
कालीचरण जी ने जो बोला वो भी आपत्तिजनक था। जिस तरह से इनने गिरफ्तारी की है ये भी आपत्तिजनक है।
Cops earlier have made arrests in other states as well. The UP police has made several arrests from Delhi, and Bihar police travelled to Mumbai to investigate in the Sushant Singh Rajput case in 2020. The matter instantly turned political with a sharp retort from the Chhattisgarh CM.
नरोत्तम मिश्रा जी ये बताएं कि महात्मा गांधी को गाली देने वाले व्यक्ति की गिरफ्तारी से वो खुश हैं या दुखी हैं। दूसरी बात यह है कि किसी नियम का उल्लंघन नहीं हुआ है।
Chhattisgarh police registered an FIR on the complaint filed by Congress leader Pramod Dubey, who himself was present in the Dharm Sansad. Now it has to be seen whether Congress will take actions against those leaders who invited such people to Raipur.
While arrests have taken place against Kalicharan, the heat is on the cops in Uttarakhand, a BJP-ruled state, who far from arresting the hate saints, was spotted sharing a nice laugh with them. 12 days on, only summons have been issued. And that too against 3 people. The principal accused in the case, who allegedly wanted Muslims killed, Yati Narsinghanand, has neither been arrested nor has he been named in the FIR. His brazenness is now visible in his claim that he has the cops by his side. With Anurag Dwari, Bureau Report, NDTV.
The terrorists involved in a recent attack on a police bus near Srinagar are among 6 terrorists killed by security forces during back-to-back encounters. The police have said that the killing of Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists is a major success, as they were planning more attacks in the valley.
6 terrorists killed in 2 overnight encounters in Kashmir, about 40 kilometers apart in Anantnag and Kulgam. Police say this includes 2 Pakistani nationals and that the group was involved in a recent attack on a police bus in which 3 policemen were killed and over a dozen injured. 1 army soldier was also killed in the encounter and 2 others were injured.
आप लोगों को जानकर और सारे सिक्योरिटी फोर्स पुलिस वाले को जानकर बहुत खुशी होगी कि ये ही ग्रुप है जिसने उसने हमला किया था जिसमें हमारे पुलिस के 3 जवान शहीद हुए थे.
The killed terrorists, according to the police, were heavily armed. 2 US-made M4 rifles, which is a highly sophisticated weapon, and 4 AK rifles were recovered from the encounter sites.
3 hardcore militants were neutralized and there was absolutely no loss of life to the civilian populace.
The police said 24 militants were killed this month alone as the offensive against militants has been intensified.
Security forces say targeted operations against militants are being carried out due to specific intelligence being provided by the local people. The operation was very major success for them because those who were involved in recent attack on a police bus have been killed in these encounters. In Srinagar, Nazir Masoodi for NDTV.
Unexpected heavy rainfall of up to 17 centimeters flooded several pockets of Chennai yet again today, causing a great deal of hardship for commuters who came in completely unprepared. Waterlogging led to traffic congestion in many areas. A cyclonic circulation along the Tamil Nadu coast triggered rains in many coastal areas. 3 rain-related deaths have been reported. The Met Department has forecast heavy rains tonight, moderate rainfall tomorrow.